Welcome to the Truth About Real Estate podcast. Today we have Kris Reid from Ardor SEO, and he is based out of Saigon. Thanks so much for coming on, especially being 6 a.m. for you right now in Saigon. Thanks so much for joining us. We're glad to have you here.
Man, it's always good to speak to our American friends.
I'm glad you. Yeah, I really appreciate it waking up so early and talking about your company, talking about you, and how you got into SEO business. So, can you tell us a little more about you?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm based here in Saigon in Vietnam, and isn't it a great time to be alive? Like, you're on the other side of a big old ocean. Well, in yesterday, I'm already in the future. It's Thursday morning here. 6 a.m., which is the best time in Saigon because it's not so hot and sweaty just yet. But man, like especially with this COVID fiasco that's shocked the world, there's no better time to be working online. Like it's so awesome to have a business that we get all of our customers through the internet. All of our customers work on the internet. We have a few clients from Brisbane, Australia, my hometown. They're the only customers I've ever met, and it's in face to face, and it's really, really rare that ever happens. Like it's such an awesome way to do business. I have the freedom to live anywhere I want in the world, which is awesome, and I choose Vietnam because it's a super cool place.
We gotta talk about that too, and like why Vietnam. But one thing you mentioned at first, you talked about everything being online. And I think everyone can say that 2020 has been a big change, and the fact that everything became faster online, the development of online industry, everything moving to online changed dramatically across the world, right? So now that's actually a advantage to companies like yourself who have been focusing on online for years, building up marketing, SEO, branding, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's really sad to see 2020 smacking so many businesses out. It's unfortunate to see so many people struggling, but I tell you, we have never had a better year. We've just grown like gangbusters because anyone that's got any sense is moving online, especially when there's lockdowns and stuff going on. People are still buying stuff, but they're not going to shops because they can't. They buy it, online. Like our e-commerce websites, our e-commerce customers, holy cow, their growth rate has just gone through the roof, and it's only going to get more valuable. 10 years ago, it was a whole lot easier to rank a website than it is today because Google wasn't as advanced as it is today, but also it wasn't as valuable. There wasn't as many people shopping online. There wasn't, there wasn't as many people for one, and people were still a little bit skeptical about putting in their credit card details. Now everyone's so familiar with it. We've got a customer that sells fancy dog coats at $5,000. I'm not sure who's spending $5,000 on a dog coat, but there clearly are people. And people of all types are buying everything online. It's freaking great. And investing in your website, it's going to give you dividends year after year after year. To bring it to real estate, I speak to realtors all the time, and so many of them are investing in Zillow. They buy leads from Zillow, which it's I can't believe it. Some of them are spending $10,000 a month with Zillow. They're clearly getting a return, or they wouldn't keep doing it. But it's Zillow does not care about you. They will sell those leads to whoever wants to give them more money. So as soon as someone else comes along with bigger pockets and wants to buy those leads at a higher price, boom, your leads are gone. And you're investing in Zillow, you're giving them that money, and they're getting bigger and bigger and stronger, and you're getting more and more reliant on them. If you invest that same money or even less, don't start with 10 grand. Cut it down to 7 grand that you spend on Zillow and 3 grand on your own website. And eventually your own website's going to generate you way more leads than Zillow ever did. And you own it, you control it. It's your business.
I think the hardest part about that for agents wise in real estate industry is instant gratification is always really nice to do. And they think and see that, hey, if I put money into Zillow, I'm going to get leads instantly. I'll try my best to convert it. Most likely, most agents don't follow up fast enough, don't have a plan of action to talk to them throughout many years and to carry that relationship and build a relationship, right? So they're going for the quick hunting and, just trying to grab whatever they can, who's hot today. And that doesn't really build a long-term business. It doesn't build a scalable model. And I think, talking about website, talking about SEO and how it relates, and you're building a real brand company that you own forever and you have full control of versus just paying someone. And of course, someone can always buy you out in Zillow. So that makes sense, right?
For sure. There's a book that I really recommend called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. He's a fabulous author. And it talks about like business is not for this quarter or this year. It should be thought about for infinite. And like he uses Kodak as an example. You know, Kodak used to make so much money with film, with the old medium. And they actually invented the digital camera, but they didn't want to release it because it had cannibalized their film business. And so eventually it took a long time. It took 20 years, but other companies built digital cameras, and then Kodak is no longer around, or certainly not what they used to be. I'm sure the people at the top still walked away with a lot of money, but the company's destroyed. And so he talks about what is actually the purpose of your business. And like our purpose is to generate our customers more clients. Like that's what we focus on, growing their business. The medium in which we do that at the moment is through Google. But eventually one day Google will not exist. Whether that's in 10 years or 100 years or 1,000 years, who knows? But I'd like our company to be stable enough that it survives after that, and whatever the medium is after that, then that's what we'd be using to help our customers grow. And when you think about business like that, it really gives you a big paradigm shift that you want to be investing in your business and growing it. Digital marketing kicks the crap out of any other form of marketing. Like even buying ads from Zillow or Facebook or YouTube, it's so much better than radio ads or newspaper ads or TV ads. I don't know why any companies spend money on those, because you can't measure anything. If you have a newspaper ad or radio ad, how do you even know how many people saw your ad? You have no idea. Never mind trying to measure the call to action and get so how do you know how much it cost you to get a client? Because that's really what you need to measure, right? You need to know, a client's, the average customer spends $100, $20 of that is profit. That's all you can spend to get a customer, and then you break even. Spend 10 of that, and you're only getting $10 to keep yourself. But you need to be able to measure that, and digital marketing allows you to do that really, really accurately. All of it with Facebook, YouTube ads, they're all great. But one thing that SEO has over all of the other forms of marketing, like Facebook ads or Zillow, as soon as you stop spending money, you stop getting it. The leads turn off instantly. Where SEO, it's compounding. What you spent last month, you get paid again this month. You get next month. You get next year. Because once you rank a website, it just keeps on generating leads. You can stop doing anything, and it's going to keep on working for you. Like that compound interest just makes it so much more valuable. Like I believe it was Einstein that said compound interest is the most powerful thing in the universe. Those that understand make it, and those that don't pay it, something like that. And if Einstein thinks it's pretty powerful, then he's a smarter guy than I.
You're absolutely right. I think those guys have said great things, and compound interest is one of the best, especially in real estate investing. Even finding form factors to create that growth, and it's basically a passive income stream, and even SEO itself. So one thing is for real estate wise, a lot of agents aren't doing it. A lot of investors might not be doing it, focusing, even wholesalers, right? And I think the situation is because in marketing, there's so many different avenues. Which one do you choose? If you're an expert in none, you try to choose the fastest one that will give you money. But sometimes those fastest ones are the ones you're paying a huge expense on, and you're not creating a long-term scalable model, right? You're just spending money, and you get stuck in that same model. I think one part of it is learning how to do things such as SEO, how to build it out, why it matters, and kind of having an understanding of behind it. That's what makes sense. But no one is teaching agents or people how to do that specifically, right? Or who do you look to work with?
Yeah, so like 2 books. So when I started business, I did not particularly know anything about business. I'm a software engineer. I screwed up so many things. I really did. I made a lot of mistakes. I had a HR steal like 40 grand one time. Like you name it, I've made that mistake. And one of the biggest mistakes I made is not knowing what I wanted to do. Like there's a great book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the number 1 habit is begin with the end in mind. When you know what you're trying to achieve, it's so much easier to achieve it. And like we've spent a lot of time building out our plans, building a 3-year plan, and we know where we're going. And it's you set your priorities. It just makes it so much clearer. That's what you need to do with business. two books that really helped me actually build a business, not a job. Like I used to have a job, right? Like it was my company, but it's a job, and like revenue sucked. Like sometimes we'd struggle to make payroll. I'm like, this is a crappy paying job. If I even get paid, this is terrible. I can't go on a holiday. It's stressful. It's terrible. And there's no way out, because it's like, you can't go on a holiday. You can't take a break. You just got to keep working real hard, because there's all these people rely on you to like pay their salaries. And that sucks. Two books are both by the same author, Mike Michalowicz. The first one is Profit First, How to Always Have a Profitable Business. And he actually has a certification called Profit First Professionals, which are accountants. We use an accountant that's Profit First Professional, and it's awesome. She manages our books, does a fabulous job. In fact, last time we met, she like looked at our books and looked at our profit allocations and said, "You're not paying yourself enough." I'm like, "Man, really? I need to have a pay rise?" And it's like, "Yeah, have a pay rise." And it's like, I'm not going to argue with the accountant. She tells me to take more money, I'm going to take more money, which is nice. And his other book is called Clockwork, which is about how to build a business that doesn't revolve around you. And I'm not perfect at it. Ardor still does need me at some capacity, but like today is my last day in the office this year. I'm going on holidays for a couple of weeks, taking the family hiking, and I know that the company's going to hum along great without me. It might not grow at the same rate, because I'm not flaming the fuels as well. I'm pretty good at that. But it'll still hum along. All our clients will get serviced, and I don't have to stress about it. I can enjoy my holiday. And man, like that's the power of having a plan. And you need to stick to what you're good at. Just like I use a Profit First Professional to do our books, and she's really good at it. She's way better than we could do it internally. Probably costs a lot less than if we did it internally as well. But she certainly does a lot better. And the time that we're not spending trying to do our accounts, we're servicing our customers and probably making more money. And it's the same with the realtor, right? Like, why the hell would you learn SEO if you're a realtor? Like, stick to what you're good at and sell one freaking house, and that's going to pay for, some experts to build your website. Why would you spend hundreds and thousands of hours? They say, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. Why would you invest 10,000 hours in something to become an expert if you probably don't even enjoy it anyway? And you're never going to be as good as someone that does enjoy it. Just go and sell a house and use that money to finance it.
I think the problem with that is in real estate, you're basically an entrepreneur, but most agents might treat it as a job rather than a career or a business that they actually own. And then to learn how to become a leader and delegate is the hard part for agents to learn, right? It's a different skill set. Sales is sales, but learning to build a business, learning to be an entrepreneur, a startup, and to delegate is a challenge for a lot of people out there, right? So
let me give you a recent example. I got introduced to this realtor through a friend he's in LA, and he works for a very big nationwide company, and he was sick to death of their crappy leads that they were sending through. And so he tried to get me to speak to his boss to like, hey, you can fix our website and get it ranking, and because he gets better leads and he'll make more money. And we tried to push him for ages, and he just got fed up. And him and 4 of his mates in LA, they got together and said, we'll just build our own website.
Nice.
And so we've been doing that for them. And so the first step we always do is build a strategy. And when we did the strategy, they're like, we just want to focus on LA. That's all of us are in LA. LA is certainly a big enough market for us. And we went, yeah, cool. But like, let's make the site extensible so that, sure, we'll just focus on LA for now. But when you're ready, we can add San Francisco in there, and we can add the rest of California. And then when you want, we can move into other states as well. And even if you don't wish to service those areas yourself, you can sell those leads to other people, just like Zillow does. And their eyes like lit up, because they're like, well, we work for a nationwide realtor. We already have a marketplace to sell all those leads to, because they're too silly to do it with their own website. So they're like really super pumped. And just if your big company is not listening to you and doing it, like big companies move very, very slowly. They don't usually adapt, and that's why they die. So like just take the world by the balls and make it happen yourself.
Exactly. I think that's what agents need to do. Start taking the reins by yourself and start looking at what you need to do, how to build it, and how to grow, and who to work with to make it happen. Right? You need a right team to make it happen. So
yeah,
more about
if building a website and ranking it was easy, then everyone would be doing it. It is challenging. It is hard. But I tell you, once you have that security, it takes all of the stress out of business. Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, he said revenue cures all problems, and it really does, man. Like, I've been where you're struggling to make payroll and it sucks. You're balancing this credit card and that credit card to try and cover the bills. It sucks. It's really stressful. You can't sleep at night. But like when you got like client acquisition is the least of our problems, and that's awesome. Like you can screw up everything else and you live to fight the next day, and that's what business is about. And then it makes it joyful because there's no stress involved. You know that money is a great thing. You can pretty much use money to fix every problem in the world, so it makes it a whole lot more fun.
Nice. Let's talk about SEO. Let's dive in and talk about it. So for those who don't know, what is SEO?
Yeah, so SEO is search engine optimization. You're basically structuring your website to feed Google all the information at once so that Google puts your website at the top, right? Like, where does anyone go to find any new product or service these days? Google. And there's 10 search results on the front page of Google, and they have to order them in some order, right? Like who's number 1, who's number 10, who's on the 10th page. It's a very challenging thing to do, and most people don't even think about how that's structured. So how it works basically is the first thing you need to understand is who's your ideal customer, and then get in their mind and work out what are they searching for. It's pretty easy in real estate. It's, usually buy or sell a house in my local area. But, like one of our customers sells luxury properties in Naples. Yeah. It's an area with the most billionaires in the US. And it's usually older people that are buying their third or fourth home. They want a vacation home and spend a couple $1 million that they got lying around. And so that's very different. They're not looking for keywords of like, buy or sell my house fast or buy a house fast kind of keywords. They're looking at things like, where's the best golf club? Where's like, what are things for older people to do in Naples? And so we do keyword research around that. You're bringing them in on, here's the 5 best golf clubs in Naples. They read your article. They go, wow, this guy really knows Naples. Naples sounds awesome. And then you go, hey, would you like to have a tour and let me show you around? And whilst I'm there, I can show you, the 5 best mansions for you to buy. So you really need to get into the mindset of what your customer's searching for. And that's called keyword research. And from that, it's how you structure everything, how you structure your website, how the URL structure should be, what the main category pages are, what your blog posts are, even like what you should do podcast topics about. If you think about Amazon, right? It's amazon.com/movies/music/fashion. And then under fashion, it's men's and women's, and then subsets of that. And that's to show that the fashion/men's page is not as important as the fashion page, which is not as important as the home page. And that needs to be the same with your website, with your products and services. Because as you're building more and more content that's around the same topic, you can get what's called keyword cannibalization if you don't have strong keyword mapping. And Google's not sure which page is to rank for what, and Google's not going to spend that much time working on it. Like the internet is really, really, really big. Even Google, with all of its computing power, can't look at the whole internet all the time. It has to assign what's called a crawl budget to each website. So based on your domain authority, how important you are is how much time Google will spend analyzing your website and how often it'll come back, because websites change. So it has to come back and check them out regularly. And the easier it is that you make it for Google to crawl your website and understand your content, like it's not going, if your content's confusing and hard to understand, and it's hard to understand which page has got to rank for what keyword, Google's not going to waste its time working that out. It's going to go to another website that's easier and go, oh, okay, this one makes more sense. I'll rank that up. Because what Google's looking for, they don't care about you per se, they care about the searcher. They want to make sure that that person has a good experience, that they type in what they're looking for and they get that search result. And it's a nice site that loads fast, that's secure, and provides a good user experience. That's what they're looking for. If your site's crap, then they're not going to rank it at all. They're going to find a better user. Like Google will likes big brands. Like they'll rank Amazon for 3 things if you search blue widgets, they'll rank Amazon for 3 different blue widgets because they know Amazon is trusted. That they know Amazon has got a good user experience. That they're going to be looked after, and that then the person that went to Google has a decent user experience. But if you can provide that same level of credibility, which you certainly can, because Google wants diversity, they don't want everything being Amazon, then they'll rank your website too. But the first step is understanding what your customers are searching for.
So I think to jump on that too is one thing to make it easy for agents to get involved, real estate people, just marketing in general, is the fact is first finding your niche. And what I mean by that is, for example, in real estate, who's your client? Everyone's my client. That's not really true. Who's your real target demographics? Okay, is it for example, tech people? Is it certain age groups, certain locations, certain cities or sub districts of a city? The more defined you can get it, the better it will be. And the reason being is called short tail versus long tail. And if you can define your words, saying, for example, if you type in San Francisco real estate, you're not going to win. Zillow's going to win, right? Automatically, those big providers will win the #1 keywordings. But if you said, hey, I'm looking for a inner Richmond district condo in San Francisco that has 3 bedrooms, that's a long tail. That long tail will be easier to be found and to be you. Another part that you talked about, Kris, was the content marketing. In content marketing, when you start providing value of talking, for example, here's all the best restaurants in a specific city sub-district of San Francisco, for example, you're becoming more of an authority in that specific market. And the more content you do around topics around your area, the more easier it will be to find you as the local expert because you're narrowly defining it. And by the way, here's all the real estate within that area, right?
Let me give you a good example of that short tail and long tail. So yeah, the short tail and long tail is the search string that people are using. And the longer it is, generally the better it'll convert. So if you think about like the keyword smartphone, right? Smartphone's got a gazillion search volume, but what the heck is someone searching for when they search smartphone? Who knows? Where, if you think about like where to buy a secondhand iPhone 6 on the south side of Chicago, the search volume is going to be tiny. Really, really small. But if you sell secondhand iPhone 6s on the south side of Chicago, that's your customer. And that's what's important, right? That it converts to customers. So like make sure you get that keyword research right, and then and that it's in the range that you can actually rank for. How much does it cost for you to make that page? Probably not that much. If it's worth it, I mean, I don't know what the value is of selling a secondhand iPhone. Maybe not that much. So maybe that doesn't work. But you need to work out what you can spend to acquire a customer. Dan Kennedy famously said, the company that can spend the most to acquire a customer will win in the end. And it's very true. And so you really need to try and work out what you can spend to get a customer. And then that works out how much you can spend to build a page and rank a page and how many leads it needs to generate. So just as an example is the people that I was mentioning before. So they want to buy distressed houses around LA. And so you think some of that might be competitive, but we did keyword research around every suburb in LA. I mean, I don't know LA very well, but there was like Hawthorne and Beverly Hills and every single suburb. And we went, we buy houses and sell my house fast type keywords. Pretty much every suburb in LA had search volume of 10 searches a month. That's not very many, but we can't see anything less than 10 because we're just unable to get that data. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Especially with voice search, there gets to be longer and longer search strings. Like where to sell your house fast in Beverly Hills. How to sell your house fast in Beverly Hills. All the different permutations of them add up. So there's probably even more than 10. But you think about it, like how much does the competition on all these keywords? 0. Absolutely 0. So it's super easy to rank. You pretty much make the content and you rank. And it's like, okay, well, what's one lead to you? You build a page, even if you just get 1 lead per month. And so that attributes to 1 deal per year. So how much did it cost to build a page? A couple $100? And then it's like, well, that gets you a deal and you made 10 grand. And so that's 10 grand a year. Do that over 10 years. Well, there's $100,000 and it costs you, even if it costs you $1,000 to put that page together, that's a pretty good ROI, right?
Really great. And I think that part of it too is in real estate, you're so overwhelmed with so many things to do. Most people just focus on clientele, hopefully helping and just keeps working on the deal, but they don't spend time on the business or spend time delegating a part of the business that needs to be delegated to start building up. Some people just throw the money to Zillow and just keep running from there, right? But to go to spend time to focus and say, hey, I don't know web design, for example. I don't know SEO. I don't know who to contact. I don't know how to get started. I don't have content to write. I don't have a marketing to write. It gets overwhelming. So they just don't do it.
100%. And it is tricky, right? It's hard to find a good marketing agency. It's hard to find like someone that fits with you. Like we very much focus on real estate. So we know real estate because, the more you know about an industry, the easier it is to like, I know that a great keyword for passive investors is how to invest $50,000 because most syndication companies, the minimum investment is $50,000. So you can be pretty sure that someone that's searching how to invest 50K, they've got 50K that they want to invest. Having knowledge about the industry just makes you able to service your clients a lot easier. And the more real estate clients we get, the easier it is because we already have a lot of people in that network and a lot of knowledge in that. And so one thing that we haven't mentioned, which is super important, is domain authority. Like you cannot rank a website if you've got no domain authority because anyone can write any crap they want on the internet, right? Like, how do you know if it's true or not? Google cannot trust what you say because there's a lot of people saying a lot of BS out there. And so Larry Page, the co-founder of Google, who's a very smart man, when he was at university, it was the 90s and there was all of the other search engines. Anyone that's from the 90s will remember like Yahoo, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves, and just all these crap search engines. And he was a smart little kid. I'm there drinking beer and chasing girls. He's like changing the world. And he surmised that, okay, so if you write a thesis and everyone references your thesis, well, your thesis must be really good. And so, well, it must be the same with a website, right? If you've got a website and everyone references your website and links to your website, then it must be really good and you should rank better. And that's the PageRank algorithm. And let me give you a real example of how it's so important. So there's a really cool SEO tool that everyone uses called Ahrefs. Ahref is a bit of geek humor. That's the actual HTML tag of a backlink, how you click on one backlink to another. And they do fabulous case studies. So recently they analyzed 2 billion pieces of content. And just the headline of their article is amazing. 90.63% of content gets no traffic from Google. So over 90% of content gets 0 traffic from Google.
Wow.
They break it down. It's pretty crazy, hey?
Yeah.
They break it down into even further that only 0.21%, so less than 1% of content gets more than 1,000 visitors a month, like almost nothing. And this is a really long article, and if you're a super geek, then I highly recommend reading it. But a spoiler alert, the secret is if you do not have backlinks, you will not rank content because Google does not care about you. If no one else is linking to your content and no one cares about you, then why does Google want to rank you? They don't trust you. So like, what I was talking about with our customer that is focused on LA with sell my house fast type keywords, all of those have very low competition. But if we just write the content for all of those, Google's not going to trust them and it's not going to rank, even though that they've got no competition. So what you do is you build a bunch of links to your homepage, and that builds up your domain authority. And domain authority works like a cake, right? The more pages you have, the more slices of cake you're giving away. And so you have a nice site structure. So we'll have like, LA and then the different boroughs and then all the subsections, and that domain authority will sprinkle down into those, and they'll have enough trust and it'll rank for all of those. So that's basically how you rank a website. But to give you another example about how important search intent is, like we're an SEO company, but I try not to speak about SEO too much because it's pretty boring. And once I get into the technicalities, you go like, Jesus, man, who cares? We try and talk about how to get more customers online. That's what our ideal customers want to hear. And so we don't want to rank for SEO type keywords because people that are searching SEO, they want to learn about SEO and do it themselves. We want to get in front of people that are searching for things like, how do I get more customers online? We want to get in front of realtors that are searching, how do I get more leads? How do I grow my business? And so not only do we need to make content about real estate SEO, real estate marketing, we need backlinks. And who do you get better backlinks from than real estate podcasts? I speak a lot on real estate podcasts. Did one last night. Got one in about 30 minutes. Because we need backlinks to our website. And I certainly hope, Matthew, that you're going to give me a backlink from your website.
Of course.
Because that builds up trust. So not only do you need links from websites, they need to be niche relevant, because who knows more about real estate than realtors? So the more backlinks that we can get from realtors, the more Google sees that, and the more they trust us, and the more we rank and get our message in front of our target audience.
Exactly. And let's jump into a little bit of that too in detail. In terms of backlinking, for example, you can use many social media platforms, you can use content marketing, you can do podcasting, you can do events, and use all these different websites. But what you're trying to do is create real content, valuable content, where other people want to use your link and backlink to you, meaning they're connecting their website to your website. And by doing that, you're creating an authority, because if you had one website who backlinks to you, that's just one. But if you had 100, that means it matters and it starts counting. And that's a part of your search engine ranking. So Google has many different search engine ranking algorithms in terms of quality and how they analyze it. So backlinking is one, content marketing, keywording, long tail, short tail, and other factors. The performance factors is another one too. You have a slow website with great content, it doesn't matter. It's a slow website. It doesn't rank well. But you have a super fast website with no content, it doesn't rank well either. So it's a huge balance of everything put together, and it takes time to build it. It's not like you're building SEO in one day.
To nerd down on even how content works. Yeah. So like the Google algorithm will read what's on your page, but it doesn't just look at that, right? It looks at what your whole website is about, and what other pages on your website are linking to that page. It has to put it in context. It also looks at the other websites that are linking to your website and what content is on them. So a really good example of supporting content, one of our customers who is a 5-star hotel chain, and so they're up against like Agoda, Booking.com, some of the biggest websites on the planet. And one of their keywords is Hotel Sydney. And you can't just keep writing content, Hotel Sydney. SEO doesn't work like that. So we did a content plan for them around best beaches in Sydney, best walks in Sydney, best parks in Sydney. That's what that's going on a holiday to Sydney searching for. A Sydney resident doesn't search for best parks in Sydney, right? And so it builds up your relevancy around holidays in Sydney. You can also rank those pages, and you get holiday makers that are going to find that content, and then you have a nice strong call to action and push them to your money page. Hey, come and book a stay at our hotel. But the main purpose is that builds up your relevancy around Sydney. Same as our client that's in Naples in Florida, right? You can't just like keep writing content, sell my house or buy a house in Naples, where you build up lots of great content. What are the best schools in Naples? What are the best golf clubs? And it builds up that you're an expert in Naples. And obviously people find those pages and go, hey, Matthew's a cool guy. He knows everything about Naples. I should go and talk to him. But it builds up your relevancy, and so your main money pages will rank as well.
And I think another part to add to that too is when you start layering things on, like level by level, you're layering it on, right? So another part of it with SEO and content marketing is even the way you structure your keywords. Like you can't, like you talked about, just using the same keyword over and over. It doesn't count that way. It's how you structure your sentences, how you structure your titles, especially titles, even your headings, like H1, H2, H3. The heading, for example, medium and low, those all rank in a manner and add to the metrics, right?
I'll give you a funny example, actually. One of our customers is John Lee Domas from Entrepreneurs on Fire, massive business podcast. And he kind of got lucky. He started podcasting before it was cool. So, he's been doing it 10 years. Which not lucky, he was just early, Now he makes $1 million a year just on sponsorship, which is pretty awesome.
Really?
And so one of his big affiliate programs is how to start a podcast. And he was making lots of money from that. And so he made more content about how to start a podcast. And then he ended up with what's called keyword cannibalization, because he had 4 pages about the same topic. And so Google was not sure which one to rank. One day one's ranking, one day's the next. And then rather than them one page being on the front page for that content, because he had enough authority, all 4 of them dropped down. And so now he's not getting any traffic, and lost a lot of money, because he didn't understand, well, how SEO works, which thankfully he went and hired someone that does.
That's true. You have to be careful. You can even, as you keep scaling that business, you're gonna start doing A/B testing with it, right? And another part of it too is if you start adding in video marketing into your content, and even another layer is saying when you do podcasting, what happens is after the fact, when you start building it up, what happens when you put your podcast on your website, but you add in all the transcription, automatically you get all the keywording from the transcription. You have the video, you have the audio, you have keywords, you have the titling, backlinking to the people.
Matthew, putting a transcription is a bad idea. Don't put a transcription from a podcast on a website. And let me tell you why. It might sound like a good idea, but it can be bad. So there's an algorithm that Google use, and we use as well, called a TF-IDF scan, which is basically a frequency algorithm. And so what we do is, it takes time to do all this stuff. So we have to wait until, we only do it for the big keywords where it's very valuable. So basically, say you wanted to have like real estate investing. We'd look at the top 10, we'd look at their content. How many words do they have on page? What's the frequency of real estate investing in that content? And say we've just done a podcast about that. Now, so the average page in the top 10 might be 800 words. We've just been speaking for an hour. Now we've got like 15,000 words. So your content is so much longer than theirs. And the amount of times that you've said, real estate investing, it's only 5, where theirs has it 10 times in 800 words. You've got it 5 times in 15,000 words. And so, boom, Google does not like that content, and down you go. So like, really, a lot of podcasters don't understand this, right? Like, if they pump out content, then, they pump it out a podcast one a week. If you rank that for just 100 visitors a month, which is nothing, right? Like if you do that for every episode, 52 episodes in a year, now you've got a website that makes 5,200 visitors a month. That's a massive website, and if you do that a couple of years, like John Lee Dermis, from memory, I think his website gets 20,000 visitors a month. He makes $1 million on sponsorship. Like, man, you're already making the content. Rank those episodes, but like you should be doing keyword research for podcast episodes before you do the content. Like generally what we do with, I'm a guest on podcasts a lot, is we help the podcast host by ranking the website. Like Mike Michalowicz, one of my favorite authors, I was lucky enough to be on his podcast. And so he's got massive domain authority as well. And so we did what we call a single page optimization on that episode. And so we wrote all the content for it. We work out based on his domain authority what it can rank for. And so we ranked it for a bunch of keywords, and it still generates us customers. One of our newest, biggest customers, they're massive. I was on his podcast, I think November last year, and it's still generating us customers because we ranked his podcast, in Google for some great keywords. Nice. So it benefits him and it benefits us. And that's what podcast hosts should be doing.
Well, I can't wait to see that happen, for our page too. And that would be, you see, if you do that to every single podcast you're on, that's actually an amazing result into generating back to you and clientele.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing people are kind of missing. It's more important to get your voice on someone else's platform than your own, like, especially if you've got a new website that doesn't rank for anything. If you just make content, well, it's not gonna rank. You need to get your content on someone else's website so that it links back to you and you build up your trust and you rank better.
That's why a lot of writers, content writers, are actually going to other publications, like big publications, and say, "Hey, I'll guest blog for you, I'll guest post for you, and link back to my website," right? Because they're trying to create domain authority across big media companies and outlets using free, content for them, right? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, most people need content, right? Like, that's podcasts need guests, so it's like, it's a great way to provide value. But if you're not comfortable speaking, but most people are, you should be an expert in whatever you do. So generally you can speak about what you do, but like you can provide written content for that sort of stuff too. So a good example, one of our customers, Avery Carl, and I tell you, she is a gun. This woman, she's been pregnant most of this year. She had a baby just 2 months ago, and she still made it. Like being pregnant and having a baby, like takes your eyes off work, right? And she still managed to make it in the top 1,000 realtors in the US, number 83, I think, with over $100 million in sales. and her average sale is like 350K. So like, yeah, that's a heck of a lot of sales, right?
It's a lot.
She's not selling multi-million-dollar homes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And she does that because she's got a wicked website. And I lost my train of thought. What the hell do I bring her up for? I apologize. I just want to.
It's only 6:45 a.m.
Sorry, I totally lost my.
I know. So it's only 6:45 a.m. So what I want to ask you too is like, okay, how do real estate people get started, or people get started in marketing? How do they get started in making a website and like going to start to focus on SEO and like how versus every other kind of marketing they could do? Like why SEO? Why should they choose SEO, and how do they do?
Why should they choose SEO? From the compounding effect, like YouTube and Facebook, they certainly work, or those companies wouldn't be worth anything. Well, actually, YouTube isn't worth anything. Like that's one of the when the US government with their antitrust case against Google, if they took YouTube out of Google, YouTube loses money every year. Then the company would go broke instantly. So it doesn't make any money. But if you advertise on YouTube, or even you have a ranking video on YouTube, YouTube's whole algorithm is designed to keep people there watching videos. They'll just show you another funny cat video. Hey, come and look over here. Get distracted. It's easy to lose that customer. Same with Facebook, right? Someone's there to chat with their friends and look at pictures. They might see your ad and they look at it. It's easy for them to get distracted. Plus, you need to think about people's buying intent. A really good example of that is a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting at a cafe, just playing with my phone, looking at Facebook. I saw this ad for copywriting. I love copywriting. And so I like clicked on it and went, yeah, cool. This is really nice. The guy had a product. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. Oh, I don't have my credit card with me. I couldn't buy it. And so that guy didn't get the sale, but he still had to pay for the click. So I'm not in position to buy. But you can be pretty sure if I was at my computer and searching for copywriting course, then I'm in a position that I can buy. You're not searching for something if you're not there. But even with Facebook or YouTube, is someone's not where they need to be to buy stuff. Even if they really like your post, you still need to get them to your website to buy something. Where Google search, that's exactly where you've just sent them, to your website. And now obviously they can leave, but they're not going to get distracted by other people's stuff. Sometimes you see very silly website owners that have ads for other people's stuff on there. And it's like, man, you've gone to all the trouble of getting someone to your website. Now you have an ad there so you can make like $1 if someone clicks on it. It's like, man, how much is your customer worth? Clearly less than $1, I guess. You want to own that market. One of our clients who writes detective novels, we sell them through his website rather than Amazon because he owns that customer. It's great. Amazon is a great marketplace because it's massive. But if Amazon owns that customer, you don't. If you have them buying stuff through your website, well, you own that customer. And now you can build the relationship with them. And next time you've got a book out, you can message them and go, hey, Johnny, you liked my last book. You want to buy a new one? It's so much more valuable than using someone else's platform.
It's like in real estate, you're focusing on two different businesses. One, we call it company A, company B. Company A is all your sales, relationships, and sales business. Company B is your back-end office, your back-end business, building your website, building your marketing, your content for company A. So the point of it is like 80-20 rule, where you should be focusing 80% on your sales business first as a first part of it, to revenue cures all. Second part of it is actually utilizing that money to actually generate and focus on building the business and delegating people to build the business and doing things like website design, content marketing, SEO marketing. But it's overwhelming in a sense, until you start scaling. But to learn to focus on it, and I believe heavily in websites. I believe in SEO, content marketing. I think that is really key. Even some of my websites I generated leads for free through content marketing, SEO, and within days you get a person who goes to your website, use a landing page, and they actually fill in their information. So you captured them, and now you followed up and called them, and then you had a drip campaign behind it to create, try to build a relationship upon it, and for them to raise their hand and say, hey, I want to buy or sell. But for example, you did that, and within 4 days they bought a house, and that was like a $16,000 commission check. Imagine if you pump that money back into your website again, it would keep growing phenomenally. But everyone says, okay, I'm just gonna take the money and run and go play, right? Rather than reinvesting it.
What you just said there is so critical, right? That person sought you out. and you've sent a drip campaign, so they trust you now. Like if someone's gone to Facebook and they click on your ad and they automatically fill out a form that, you know, Facebook has their data, boom, like that's a crappy lead. You know, you call that lead and they'll go, who are you? Whatever, get out of here. Where if someone has searched, you know, sell my house fast, they come to your website, you say, hey, you want to see the five ways to get more when selling your house fast. They download that guide, you know, then and the guide's really good, and they go, wow, this Matthew guy knows what he's talking about. Then you send them an email and you go, hey, listen to me on this podcast, you know, watch me on this YouTube video. You start building up that trust and indoctrination, and then send them another email and go, hey, book in a call. Now when they speak to you, they already go, wow, Matthew is a real expert and I trust him because I've read all this stuff. I've seen how he helps these other customers, and man, you're going to convert that lead so much higher. Like, who wants to have 1,000 freaking crappy leads that you have to call each one and they're like going, who are you? And hang up on you? Like, that's a waste of your time. You want quality leads that are actually going to convert to clients. Otherwise, you're just burning your own time.
Exactly. I completely agree too. I see a lot of people just cold calling, door knocking, mailers, and just randomly doing whatever they can to get a lead. And they're not thinking long-term strategy. You're going to burn out that way and waste a lot of energy, resources, and money rather than focusing on how you create inbound marketing, content marketing, social media marketing to attract, to bring value, to share value, to create a long-term relationship. What we're doing here in our company, in our team, is creating layers. For example, you had a lead capture layer. You had a drip campaign layer. You stack the drip campaign with texting layer. You stack it with a video layer on top, and then you go back to call to actions over and over throughout a series of different campaigns. And you cycle them through one over the other to create a relationship. And when they call you, all the videos you shared and knowledge you shared about the market, they're ready to work with you. They already signed the dot in their head before they even talk to you because they know who you are. They know how you work.
Yeah, it's so valuable. In fact, one of our clients, who's a really big time painter, so he's got franchises in like 7 or 8 states. He's massive, knows every painter in the US. And you know, he was telling me that most painters are doing about 200K a year and like seriously struggling. But the ones that are smart enough to have email marketing set up are doing more like 2 million. It's like 10x your freaking business by setting up some email marketing. Like, how easy is that? You know, even if it cost you 30 grand to set up, which it does not, it's like the return on that, and you don't just get it 1 year, you get it next year and the year after and the year after. It's like when you see that and you start investing in your business like that, you're never going to see any bigger growth. You know, it's fabulous.
I think most people don't have the time. They don't focus on creating time to actually build out a drip campaign, an email campaign, a physical marketing campaign because they're busy and they choose to be busy versus choosing to add value and over time value and scalability. But for example, what we did was we took the best content marketing out there, the pieces, we R&D it, and you create your own personalized custom drip campaign series for every single type of person in interaction that you're going to have to create value back to them. So you're giving them value and you're saving yourself time and creating trust. But that's not easy. It takes a lot of work. But at the same time, that work is for one time forever. And you can do simple. You can make it really simple and make it automated, right?
For sure. But and another thing to think about, right, is this is hard, and to get it right takes a lot of work. One REI podcast that I know who is a bit of a tight ass. You know, when I spoke to him one time, he's like, "Man, I've been using this guy paying $400 a month, been doing it for years." I'm like, "Your website sucks and it doesn't rank for anything. Why are you spending $400 a month with this guy? Like, just take that money and go to the pub. You'll get a better you'll get a better return on that. You'll get a nice hangover, have a good time. Like, if you don't do it right, you're just throwing money away. Like, it needs to be a good strategy. Like, you know, one of our more recent customers, he just spent $20,000 on a website, generated him zero business. It's like, man, you can create a Facebook page, which costs you $0 to make, throw 20 grand at Facebook ads. I mean, if you do it even badly, you should generate some business. You know, that's a better return. Like, if you don't do this right, you're going to burn a lot of money. You know, a website is just like a business card, right? Business cards don't work unless you hand them out. A website doesn't work unless people can find it. And you need to get it in front of the right people. Same with the business card. You're building that relationship. You got to shake that person's hand and go, "Hey, Johnny, you know, make a good impact and make sure they remember you and, you know, give you a call." It's even better if you get their business card, then you call them. But, you know, that's essentially what you're doing with the website, right? You're getting that person to there, getting their business card by them putting in their information to take your lead magnet, and then you're building them their trust. Same as shaking their hand, look at them in their eye and tell them what you do. That's the exact same thing that you're doing digitally.
So I know you have to wrap up in a few moments, but quickly, let's give you a fire round. What can you tell the audience that they should start doing now for 2021 to get going in websites, SEO, content marketing? What should they focus on? What's the quickest thing that they can do to get running?
So I'm starting off 2021 the same way I have the last couple of years, is by reading Grant Cardone's book 10X. In fact, I listened to the audiobooks there of Grant Cardone yelling in your ear. And man, if that doesn't motivate you to kick into 2021 right, then whoa, I don't know what will. But yeah, like seriously, don't do this stuff yourself. Like, you know, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert, and why stick to what you're good at, selling houses or investment or whatever, and work with an agency. But I tell you, like, you won't believe, like that is the biggest hurdle that we have, is getting people to understand the power of this stuff. Because once you do, you'll be kicking yourself, you know, why did we not do this earlier? Like when you have the right amount of leads coming through to predictably grow your business, all the other headaches just go away.
So that's definitely one way to do it. And what kind of return on investment do people see, and how long does it take to actually start seeing a return?
Yeah, so it really depends on where you are starting from. If you're starting from scratch, it's longer. You know, if you've got e-commerce website that's already making money, then we can usually get a return happening really quickly. Ranking Google My Business, it's a Google property. Getting those rankings generally pretty quick, but like, yeah, it's very hard to say, because it depends on what the market is, what your competition is, and where your starting point is. If it's brand new, it's gonna take a while. Like you're looking at 6 weeks to even get a website, you know, built. Then you know it's gonna take a little while to generate that trust with Google and get it ranking.
Okay. And so, for example, to wrap it up, you know, I think one is thinking about 2021, how to build your business, how to focus, how to get your website up and running, and why it matters, and thinking about content strategy, and also figuring out which, you know, agency like Ardor SEO, and talking to them about how to make it work and why it matters, and showing some, you know, examples, but thinking about how to do that rather than just spending money on, you know, hard leads, right? And creating value. And once you create that value, is compounding. So the compounding effect will definitely be worth it over time, creating a better ROI for you and having real ownership. So how do people reach out to you?
So you can go to Google and you can type in the coolest guy in SEO. And I tell you, if you don't see my face everywhere, then Google's broken. But an even better way is to go to our website, which is Ardor SEO. If you can't tell from my funny accent, Ardor means to do something with a fiery passion, and spelled ARDOR. So ardorseo.com. And if you go to /REI, there'll be a little video of me. Pop in your details and I'll do a video review for you. Great. So I'll show you exactly what your potential customers are searching for in what search volume. So I'll show you how many people every month are searching for exactly what you do. And I'll show you some simple things that you can change yourself on your website to get your message in front of where those people are looking and predictably grow your business. So that's ardorseo.com /REI.
Perfect. Thanks so much for hopping on the podcast. And for everyone out there, thanks for being on the Truth About Real Estate podcast. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Cheers, buddy. I'll send you an email.